Hi everybody, it's Claudia from Create with Claudia. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today I'm doing a follow-up video to one I did about 2 years ago called 44 items you can get at a dollar store for quilting. Well, I had so many viewer tips and ideas. I loved them all, and I gathered them up, and here are 25 more ideas from that you can get from the dollar store for quilting. So before I get into the list, I want to thank all of the viewers for all of their great tips. They were really helpful and so fun to read. Some are a little funny. I'll show you one at the end that always cracks me up every time I see them. But I do want to thank you all for all the suggestions you give me. I really do appreciate it, and I appreciate you watching. So this list is all viewer tips. And I have not tried all of them. I've tried some of them. Some of them are really great, and then some I just haven't had a chance to try yet. So we're going to get started with number one, and number one is a towel. Somebody suggested using a hand towel as batting. Now, I have never done this. I don't know if I would. I might. It might be fun to try, but you know, you can get like a pack of 2 of them for $1 at some places. The texture's a little rough, but hey, it might be a nice utilitarian type filler or batting, like that kind of thing. And it sure is a good price. All right, next up is sticky shelf paper, and I found this there, and I already started some. This works really well to pick up lint. In the last video, I suggested a lint roller. I'm just going to tear off a little piece here, but it's really sticky. You can see how sticky it is, so you can use that to quickly pick up threads and that sort of thing. And I know as quilters, we all have threads everywhere. The other thing, and as I was unwrapping this, I realized it's a little hard to write on, but if you needed a quick sketch surface, if you had the greatest idea for a quilt design ever, there is graph paper on the back, so you could sketch out a little quilt design if you wanted to. So contact or sticky paper for sticky shelf liner for picking up lint. Number 3 is a ponytail holder for a spool of thread to hold that thread down. I don't have a real good storage system for my thread. I throw it all in this big bag, which is probably the worst way you can do it because it all gets tangled. And I had used smaller ponytail holders for bobbins, but I didn't think about it for the regular spool of thread. So here you go. There you go. There's your ponytail holder for a spool of thread. Number 4 are cookie cutters for free motion quilting. I do not do free motion quilting, so I've seen it done. It looks really cool. I love piecing my quilts a lot more than quilting them. I really do need to work on my actual quilting skills, but I would imagine those are a good idea for shapes if you want to quilt free motion quilt around them. The only thing I would think, and again, I don't do it myself, the small sort of narrow corners and things like that might be tricky to get through, but again, I don't know, but that's a great idea. So cookie cutters for free motion quilting. Number 5 I've seen on Pinterest before. I've never done it myself, so I gave it a try, and this was another suggestion. Actually, again, they're all suggestions from viewers. Pot holders, and you can double them as a scissor case, and I just put some pins in there too. All I did was use fabric glue and glued this down. I wouldn't suggest that, only because I don't think it's strong enough. I did that for demo purposes. But this is what I did. You can see the scissors go in it, and then I pinned some pins to it. So pot holders for a scissor holder. Number 6 is a bath mat for under your machine so it doesn't slip. Now, I will say I did try this, and there's a picture up on the screen. It definitely doesn't slip. This is a thicker bath mat, so it made my machine just a little bit wobbly. So if you could find a thinner one, I think it would work better. But, you know, some people, you have different, you're more comfortable sewing one way or the other. It's worth it to give it a try. But a bath mat under your sewing machine was another suggestion. Number 7, dollar stores always have all kinds of interesting hooks. This hook's over a door, but I've seen them also with holes for, so you can hammer up or nail them to the wall. A series of hooks like this would be perfect for like a ruler or something like that. You could hang that up. You could a lot of rulers in here. This is a nice big wide one. So something like that is a good idea. Sort of over the door, or if you can't find them with the holes, you can hammer to the wall, and they make great ruler holders. Number 8, and I had a couple people suggest this one, use paper clips. This is very easy. And I thought I had put it on the first video, but I looked back and I couldn't find it. Use paper clips hold your binding when you're sewing your, your hand stitching your binding when you're finishing up your quilt. Use paper clips instead of, if you have, Wonder Clips or whatever, but if you don't have those, paper clips are perfect. Number 9 are great for shish kebabs, but they are also good. They're really sharp. Be careful. They're good for using as a stiletto. So if you don't have a stiletto, just use a bamboo skewer. You can even, it's narrow enough that you could use the blunt edge too if you wanted to be careful, because this is so sharp it may go through your fabric if you're not careful. But stilettos can be pretty sharp too. So bamboo skewers in place of stilettos. All right, so cotton clothesline is another one, and I've seen that at a bunch of different dollar stores. Here it is. It's great. You can tie it from one end to the other to display, maybe if you want to hang some cute blocks up, or if you want to hang a quilt in a pinch. So you have clothesline. However, and I've made one years ago, these clothesline bags. This is covered in all different batiks. Beautiful. I love this bag. It's pretty old and worn, but and this was all of the fabrics wrapped around cotton clothesline. This next one is for all of you applicators out there. If you're looking for a circular shape, these little washers are just great. These are for smaller circles. There's a bigger one and a smaller one. And you just trace around it on your fabric, on the back of your fabric, cut it out, and you have a perfect circle. So washers as a circle template. Number 12, clothespins. These little wooden clothespins, they're great, and they come in, you get a whole bunch of them in one pack. I don't know how many you get, but I didn't count. You use them as hangers. Here's like a little mini quilt I did. It's very lightweight. I mean, they're not real strong, so you can't hang anything, but if you wanted to hang one block or something, or a little mini like this, it's perfect on a hanger. So clothespins are a great idea. Number 14 is a pool noodle. Now, I had mentioned pool noodles in the last video I did for some things, and what was great about all the comments you guys gave me was you gave me other suggestions for the same items. So a couple of these are not repeats, but they're different uses for the same item. So pool noodle, someone suggested wrapping your binding around it, and it's really easy to cut. I was surprised how easy it was to cut. And then I just wrap my binding and pin it in, and it's perfect and it's ready to go. Number 15. Now, I'm going to give you a caveat on this one. I have not tried this, and this is marking. Somebody suggested using chalk, just sort of sidewalk chalk. This is actually chalkboard chalk, chalkboard chalk for marking your quilts. I have not tried it, so I don't know if it stays on or it's easy to get off. Always, 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 when you're putting stuff on your fabric, test it first to make sure it comes off, especially if you're marking for quilting or whatever. But another suggestion was chalk. Let's chalkboard chalk. All right, another great one for applicators is freezer paper. If you've ever done this method, I actually really love this method. There's a method actually on the one box I have. It shows you how you can actually use it for applique. But freezer paper you can find at any dollar store. Number 17 is parchment paper for tracing. That's a great idea. I love that idea. So I wrote on here. You can see it's really easy, and it is sort of see-through, especially if you have darker lines. Parchment paper for tracing is a great item you can get at the dollar store for quilting. Number 18 is an ice cube tray. I had never thought of this, but you can just lay this out next to your sewing machine. This has all my feet in it. It has some bobbins in it. I just sort of did some for an example. And it comes in a set of 2, so if you need an ice cube tray for your freezer, you can use the other one for that. But ice cube tray is a great storage item, an organizer for your sewing space. Number 20 is an example I could not find, and I looked at a lot of different dollar stores. I had my daughter look. I could not find them, but I have seen them before. I think maybe it was the wrong time of year, and if you've ever heard of them, they're called slap bracelets. Kids have them. They're like plastic, they're long, and if you snap them over your wrist, they seal up and they make a little bracelet type thing. But I have seen on Pinterest, and it was a great suggestion from someone, is you can make a pincushion with them. And I've seen pincushion bracelets before. I don't use one myself. I'm just showing you this as an example. But use a slap bracelet and figure out, there are tutorials, like I said, on Pinterest or online, where you can make a pincushion slap bracelet, a slap bracelet, pincushion bracelet, if that makes sense. So another one I could not find an example of in my local dollar stores, using dish racks for rulers. Now, I don't know if they're open. Now, the closed side ones, you probably could only put smaller rulers in it, but I don't know how wide they measure. But that is an idea if you have a lot of smaller rulers or maybe templates, that kind of thing. A dish rack is a great idea. 21, here we go. This is very seasonal. It's old wrapping paper. You can get it like the holiday wrapping paper. And on the back, and I never thought of this, there is usually, not always, but a lot of times there's a grid. You can use that as graph paper. If you don't have graph paper and you want to sketch out a quick block design or a quilt, the back of wrapping paper is a good substitute for graph paper. 22 is another idea for binding, for holding that binding down when you're hand stitching that binding on. Those little snap hair clips, let me see, hopefully you can see it okay. I have a picture up too. I've been trying to show you pictures. I hope that helps. Sometimes it's hard to zoom in and out. I'm a one-person show, so, but here you go. Here's a little snap, and it just snaps, then holds on that binding so that you don't have to keep pinching it down with your hand when you're sewing on that finishing touch to your quilts. Another idea along the same line, we had 3 of those actually, bobby pins. There's another one. Those are real tight, and that's a great idea for holding down that the binding when you're stitching it on. So another one I don't have an example of, and again I'm going to put a warning here. Somebody mentioned water-soluble markers. I have never seen them at my local one, but again, every different dollar store has different things in it. But I would test on your fabric before you put on a water-soluble marker. Hey, it may work, and it's a great solution if it does. But again, I always put a warning there when I'm mentioning marking fabrics, because you just never know. And so always test a water-soluble marker on your fabric. Another great idea, and this one actually, I happened to be in my local dollar store a couple weeks ago and stumbled upon this. I did not realize they sold color catchers. So here you go. They have color catchers, which are great to test out if you're, well, not test out, but to run, especially if you pre-wash. Or if you're washing a finished quilt, that kind of thing. You want to put some color catchers in there to make sure it doesn't bleed on the rest of the fabric. Let's say you have red fabric on the white fabric, that kind of thing. You don't want to do that. Again, because you're putting it on fabric, you may want to test it first. I'm always, like I said, I'm really careful when I put things, new products on my fabrics, just to make sure it doesn't damage them or stain them or anything. But color catchers, there you go. That's at the dollar store. All right, and last but not least, and this one cracked me up, and I don't know if it was meant to be funny or not, but it is actually very true, and it was a great suggestion. Band-Aids, and you can see all through this video I have a big Band-Aid. I sliced my thumb. It was not a rotary cutting incident. It actually was in the kitchen. I cut it on one of those vegetable slicers, and I just got the stitches out, 2 days ago. But I have to wear a Band-Aid for quite a while. And so Band-Aids were a great suggestion, and it did make me chuckle a little bit, but I can't remember who gave me that suggestion, but thank you for that. And it's very true. Throw a couple Band-Aids in your supply box next to your sewing machine. So there you have it. There are my 25 more quilting items you can get at a dollar store. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Most of all, I want to thank the viewers for all of their awesome suggestions. I really do appreciate it. I love it when you guys comment, so drop me a comment. I'd love to hear from you, and if you have other suggestions, I'd love to hear those as well. Also, make sure to check out that other video, because those are 44 those were the first ones, and those are 44 different things you could get at a dollar store for quilting. I'd love it if you'd hit that subscribe button. I always love new subscribers. Thank you so much. I do quilt tutorials, free patterns, tips like this, all kinds of things. So it's a lot of fun. I'm also on social media at Create with Claudia, so make sure to check that out as well. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.